And let me let's see if it will start the stream on this end. So let me refresh this screen. And there it goes. There,
All right. We are live, Fox 5.
so let me go and turn the volume down on that so that way. Okay, cool. So now we are live, brother
Yes, sir.
Aaron.
Yes, indeed.
So
Here
it's
in
been
the
a
here in the flesh.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Yeah. So man, let's give let's give the audience a quick rundown of who we are and like what kind of what brought us to the places that we currently reside in life.
Hmm.
Um, like with myself, I've been in IT for a number of years. Uh, live in the Maryland area. Have two kids. Married. Also, have a huge family. It seems like it's ever growing, especially with brothers like yourself that I come across in
Likewise.
my travels. That's what. And
Likewise.
like today, pretty much this topic is just about what drove people to move pretty much the areas that they're in now. And then not even just areas, different walks of life that we kind of all just travel down these roads, and whether you move just to another location for a better way of life, whether it's in the same state or outside of the state, which a lot of people have definitely done over the last few years,
Hmm.
especially with COVID happening um, and then with a lot of people uh, looking for a better way of life and just a cheap alternative to where they currently reside. So well, I guess we can go ahead and get started with that, and then if you don't mind just giving a quick introduction of yourself and just telling the people who you are.
My pleasure, brother. Um, and so my name is Iron Brown, and this is my first official live stream. And let's see here.
So my
Um,
brother, not alone, right there. I'm going to turn mine on.
I obviously was introduced to you when we crossed paths working at, Johns Hopkins together, and we hit it off from Jump Street. Another good brother of ours, Michael Page, is hopefully he'll be joining us in future, live streams, and me, you, and him were like, three peas in the pod.
Yes,
And
sir.
so a little bit about myself. I am the youngest of three siblings. I have two older sisters, and our dynamic is we all have the same mother but different fathers. So it's a nice, beautiful blended family. And let's see here. I was actually conceived and born here in Georgia, where I reside currently, and but I didn't grow up here. I was formally educated and raised in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And let's see here. After my tenure at Johns Hopkins, obviously we went our separate ways, respectively. And I am currently no longer in the IT field, but that is my field of study. So I do have numerous certificates and my I intend on obviously completing my unfinished business in pursuing uh, uh, a degree, and but I'm a brother who takes pride in whatever I do for a living, and so as of right now, I am currently freelancing, working on my my autobiography, and so all praise to the Most High. My mother is allowing me to be creative, and she's supporting my lifestyle outside of me, holding random jobs just to just that support my lifestyle as well. So I am a father. I have a son who's 2 years old and a daughter who's one, and what a time to be alive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. You definitely are one of the hardest working men that I know that I came across. Like over the past few years, brother. And
Likewise.
we have young Grizzly who just got into the room. That's why I just wanted to also let you know young Grizzly is like my man Aaron here, like this guy, this picture right there has a haircut. Like his hair is short there, but when I first met him, he looked like a young Palomalo or Jason Momoa. When I
Long
Yes,
first met
and
him,
indeedy.
locks and such.
Yes, indeedy.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, indeedy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Look, but he grew it all back, and then the last picture that I saw, I think you still got him. Like he looked like Junior Gong now. And
Respect, real tingness, real tingness.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it's a pleasure to meet you, young Grizzly. You know what I mean? And this is a good brother of mine here, this brother Tavon. So, I'm sure, we're in great company with you joining the live stream. So it's nice to meet you, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate Tavon inviting me to this one. He did, like, he came and blessed my stream with his Spider-Man knowledge and everything like that a while back. So
Yes, indeed.
definitely good to be a part of, like, what he's got going on here as well, man. And nice to meet you as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Likewise.
yeah, so just to give you a quick rundown, young Grizzly, that's what today we're just trying to focus on reasons for moving, like and you and I and Aaron, like all three of us had conversations, like Aaron, we've had this conversation like many times over the years. Young Grizzly, we just met, and but you actually uh are doing a lot of the things that, like people are looking to accomplish out here,
Mhm.
when it comes to, making those major moves and stuff like that. And so basically we just want to see what your people experiences are when you're one relocating from another state, that whole process for kind of like looking at homes and stuff like that, and just locations, not being familiar with those locations that you move to. And then also, like what are some of the benefits of actually making that move as well.
Hmm.
um so I'll go ahead and kind of get started on my side. So when I first met Aaron, like I lived in the Baltimore County area, and lived there for a number of years. I've relocated throughout the country, actually. Like I lived in California, moved back to Maryland, um, like later on in high school, and then met a lot of great people once I moved back, and then met my wife, and then we lived in like two different apartments, and then we got a house, and then after that, like you gotta grow it. And and that before we even had kids, we were kind of at the place where we realized like the house was like we wouldn't be able to stay there forever. And um and then once we had kids, like that we saw real quick how small the place was that we had. And which at that point that we started looking around. We actually were looking to move down south some years back, and went through the whole process. And then once you're about to get to the table, stuff kind of fell through. So we said, all right, it's not a good time. We just pulled back. And at that point, we stayed in the house for probably another 5 years or so. Uh, and then the pandemic hit. And when the well, once it hit, it actually didn't have a name at that point when we started looking. Um, we One of my main thing was I wanted to actually be out of the location that I was for from a school standpoint for the kids, because like once they got to a certain age, like I wanted them to be able to get another level of education without having to go through private school, because private school, that those tuition fees can be just as much, if not more, than a mortgage. So we wind up relocating to further out into Maryland. Some people say it's the sticks, but hey, we like it, and it's a up and coming community. We have got more space, more house for the price at the time. Once we got in, we were able to lock in at that lower rate. What, but once we saw within in a matter of months, the price of the houses just started, like going up 10,000, like 20,000. Then it was ridiculous how fast the price of the houses were going up. And once we actually moved into the area, uh, we said, well, first off, my wife tricked me into actually coming to take a look at the house, because it was on the Super Bowl Sunday. Oh, well, actually, it was the week before the Super Bowl. Forget the who was playing at the time, and I remember telling my wife, I was like, I don't want to go look at a house out there while the game is on, and we're going to miss. Well, not we. I'm going to miss the game because we're riding an hour away from where we currently live, and uh, and like we didn't have any family, anything in the area. So, but it's kind of one of those things where we sat back, we talked about it, and then Super Bowl Sunday came around, and then so she said, "Let's go back and take another look at it, see if we can get any ideas for the house that we currently lived in." So we took the ride again, and so now we all day, and so I was like, "Are we buying this house?" And then so she said, "Oh, I think we could do it." And then so that kind of started the ball rolling at that point, and the process of going through financing and making sure your bank account, you can't really spend any money, or you can't really spend anything on credit, I would say, or make any large purchases, which it's kind of hard to do for some people, given that especially the time period that they're looking to move, whether it could be the Christmas holidays, or it could be like like going back to school time. Sometimes you just need to spend something, and that actually helped with myself and my wife, actually kind of like setting this in motion, with actually holding on to money and not just going out and constantly eating out, or going out and just buying the newest PlayStation 4 game at the time, that came out. And it was a really good experience once we actually made the move. Um, the kids were still in quarantine. What the schools were in, like hybrid learning. Not no, I'm sorry, not hybrid. They were in virtual learning during that time. So they transferred to a new school, and they still were in virtual learning. But once they actually got into school, we actually got to see some of the benefits of them actually being back in school, and also being in the area that we currently reside in, as well as even it's you even knows the difference when it comes to uh, food, basic necessities, in some cases where food is cheaper. And young Grizzly, we talked about that, and like like in your area, where you're able to have access to a better quality of uh, of either produce or meat or whatever it is,
Yeah, I was just telling my homeboy the oxtails out here is this freaking big.
Yeah, yeah,
Crazy.
and yeah, and the typical size that you're getting, you're not getting an oxtail that size, you could like anywhere in a major metropolitan area. So
Hell no. Fresh
yeah,
goat
but
meat and everything.
yeah, yes, yeah. I mean, like everything, it just on a totally different level level of access that uh, I didn't even know really existed uh, to some degree, just because like you would see it on TV. But I would always think that this is in areas where it's like it's way uh outside of, like like my normal zip code, or anything like that, to even have access to. And it's nice actually having that as one of the benefits of actually
I love
relocating
that
to a
word. I
different
love
area.
that choice of word, that access word, man. That's huge.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what like like the access to, like goods and services is plays a major role in society. And it, some people aren't able to take that journey and be able to do kind of like what we've done, as far as being able to make a move to kind of better yourself and better your situation for for your, just for your own mental aspect of things as well.
So, question I have, like, I just wrote down two questions here. It's like, what was that conversation like with your wife? Like, I'm a single man. In certain circles, like I'm known as a MGTOW man, going their own way in terms of just like, relationships and how I deal with women and things like that, and understanding of women. So it's kind of a little bit alien to have somebody where you're doing this quote unquote together. And I talk to my married
Yeah.
friends about this all the time. Like, how does this conversation, like, what conversation? Nah, man, we just doing it. Like, dude, like, what you mean conversation? You know?
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those. It's definitely a learned skill, I would say. Like like no one can. There are no two people, I think, in the world that can jump into uh, any kind of living situation, one, and just be on the same page. And just like you said, like had it like from my standpoint, had it not been for my wife having kind of like the foresight and to saying like, hey, let's go check this place out on a Super Bowl Sunday. So like at that point, so like just like how you said, conversation. I'm like, I don't want to have a conversation on Super Bowl Sunday. I want to watch the Super Bowl. Had I watched the Super Bowl, I would have lost out on the opportunity. And we actually have this thing, my wife and I. Um, is this community that was built when we first got married. It's called Newtown, and we saw this place. We were living in an apartment at the time, and it was it might have been 120,000 for to get in to get into the place at this time, and it was brand new construction. No one's there, but the mindset that we had at the time was that there's no way we could afford that. We were young, so so we was like there's no way that we can come up with this amount of money in order to move in. And at, after we got our first house, we we realized that house that we purchased was actually the same amount as that brand new build, and our house was already 20 years old. And we sat back and thought about it. We was like, we could have actually afforded that house had we had the education and the knowledge to know that one our salaries would grow as we moved up in careers, and which we
Excuse
didn't.
me for keep
Yes, go go
interjecting,
go
but
go, brother. No, go ahead.
I love the fact that you said your first house, because you know what I mean. Your first house doesn't have to be your last house. So I just wanted to throw that out there. You know what I mean. Every time you say something
Exactly.
that hits home to me, I'm a try to not interject but interject. You know what I mean. But I love that my first house. So that's
Yeah.
powerful right there, brother.
Thank you, thank you. But yeah, that's kind of how the conversation went.
Yeah, apart my friend, I just sent him the link. He's like my best friend, brother to me, and he and his wife just moved into their second house. They had like a townhome or something like that first, as their first home, like where it was a mortgage and all, and then now they have like a single family home and in South Florida of all places. Um, and the conversation, like, it was kind of separate, like it was different, like the dynamic was different. He was the one pushing to, like, we need to do this, we need to go ahead and do this, so on and so forth, we need to
Mhm.
speed up with it. Whereas your wife was the one that's kind of like pulling you along a little bit, like you wanted
Yeah,
to do it, but it's like not on Super Bowl Sunday, like
not on Super Bowl Sunday. Not on
this is,
Super Bowl
this
Sunday.
is the Lord's Day. Like
Yeah,
that type of stuff.
absolutely.
So, yeah, he always, he always talks about, the conversations that you have with your wife and everything else like that, and worrying about the kids, the schooling and stuff like that. I'm the type of person where it's like my parents didn't care about the schooling. It was more or less, or that I know of, it was more or less, it was a better place than where we lived in Miami.
Mhm.
And moving to a better city, a better town, bigger house, and everything else like that. That was important. Everything else after that is just like, oh, listen, if the kid dies, he dies. It's like, if he learns, he learns, like,
Yeah,
but another question I have
yeah,
is like, how was it saving and doing it together? And you can, jump in on this too, like,
yeah,
in terms of the couple dynamic of it all, because this always interests me. Like, what was the feeling like, because you guys are working towards something, things like that.
yeah, yeah. That was definitely. It's definitely. Wish my other homeboy was here. He'll be probably joining in a little bit. But yes, the saving aspect of it was rough. it was it was it was rough being able to save that amount of money, and then also just be able to just come up with it from like whether it's like pulling from a 401k or something like that to be able to come up with the amount that was needed. And now, mind you, this also pre-COVID, so I think that the down payment amount went up some since COVID hit, uh, for some individuals, I believe. And I think that we didn't have that aspect of it. But I see Brother Iron just
Oh
unmuted
yeah.
himself, so I'll let him go
Oh
ahead
yeah,
and get
yeah.
in here.
No, this is a beautiful conversation. Obviously, my juices is flowing, but because we feeding off each other's energies. But so I'm real big on making more deposits and less withdrawals. So I'm
I
I'm
like
I-
that.
I'm famous for, and I'm still, I have a lot of room for improvement. But you have savings and you have check-ins, and I am guilty of, going into my savings more than I want to. So that's a discipline that you and your wife are exercising, and I champion you guys for doing so, because it's a skill. It truly is, to discipline yourself to have the money available, but you rather not touch it, and for good reason. You know what I mean? So I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
mute myself again. But yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah. No. That's
Well,
really well said.
I ran. If you mean, listen, man, come on, man. No, you was just in and out here, man. Come on, man. Like, you gotta let me, hey, man. You gotta let me ask you, because those are interesting points too. Is just like, the discipline. What's necessary, doing what's necessary, what's needed to ensure that you have the desired outcome.
Yeah.
You make the right moves. You execute accordingly. And I had a stream about this the other day about social programming. I was talking to a brother, Freeman's Journal, and he was talking about, we were talking about social programming and why people willingly give up the right and the option to own so they can rent, buy cars. Like, I had the 7 Series, I had the shoes, the clothes,
Yeah.
Dealt with the hoes, still do. But, you deal with all these things, and you do all these things to push money out. If you listen to The Richest Man in Babylon, which is a great book, it's available online. You can find it on YouTube. It's an audiobook. It's about 4 hours. You should listen to it yourself and listen to it with your kids. But it talks about you pay everyone else before you pay yourself. And it just talks about giving that 10, 20%, taking that off the top. That's mine. I work for it.
Yeah.
And then you pay everybody else. But if y'all want, talk to that, please.
Richest Man of Babylon. I just added another book to the book list, my brother. I love that, because I'm huge on reading and feeding my brain and activating those neurons that's usually, laying dormant in our brain. You hear that saying that we only activate a certain percentage, of our, our brain. You know what I mean? And that's huge. So I'm writing that down again. Richest Man in Babylon. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll find you the link on YouTube. It's a 4-hour book. My friend, another friend and a brother to me, a former business partner, Jamel, he put me onto it. And in that weekend alone, I listened to it twice. It was that powerful.
Wow.
I think that that's something that we should do more of, as far as gift giving, is to gift each other books. That's I mean, that's priceless right there, because we're enlightening each other. And obviously, it definitely can't hurt. You know what I mean? So that's something that I'm getting into the habit of doing, is gifting books, because that's priceless. You know what I mean? So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Definitely. YG, I added that to my list as well. Absolutely. But that should be a mindset that we have, like in the forefront. Like you've worked 40 plus hours, in a week or so. Give this amount to yourself first, and then for the rest of it, then go ahead and divvy that out to uh bill collectors, everybody else who's who's coming to knock at your door. But no, that's definitely that's kind of something that both my wife and we actually, I didn't even know that there was a thing out there for, like, a saying for that, but I'm definitely going to read that, because it's kind of something that we've practiced for for a while.
It's told in a story format. And hello to brother Dominic. It's told in a story, a very well put out story, fictional format, almost to the point where I don't even know if it's real or not, but it's kind of like, it's up there with Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the way it's told.
That's a good book.
And if you're a real religious person or of Catholic faith or Christianity, you'll really like hearing it in the way it's told, because it's told in the city of Babylon and so on and so forth. And the way in which it's told, it's like an old tale, but it's like, listening to Psalm. It's like reading Psalms or any other stories within the Bible, or the different books within the Bible. And I'm probably saying that wrong, or chapters within the Bible. But you know, it's very powerful because it's like when you say like, hey, listen, the power of like pay me first instead of like, you
Yeah,
know, buying clothes. You pay the cloth merchant. You pay, you know, the water merchant. You pay all these people before you even pay yourself even a
yeah,
penny.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. No, that's definitely good. I'm going to recommend it to a lot of people that I come across too. And so it looks like Brother Dominic is look like he's getting his audio. Uh,
Yeah, I'm here,
Good,
guys. How y'all doing tonight?
hey,
good
hey,
brother.
brother, how you doing?
Peace, brother.
I'm all
Peace.
right, man. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sorry I came in on the end of it, but it sounds like, we haven't talking about having a topic about paying yourself first, right? If I'm not mistaken, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I did, like I said, I came in a little late.
yeah. No, that's where we are. You can definitely go and feel free to jump in, brother.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
more
Yeah,
about commandments, you know, things like that.
it's funny. Like you said, man. That's this. I'm gonna say I'm not sure if you guys had actually brought that up, but like you said, that's an awesome topic too to talk about because you know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff from our culture that a lot of that wasn't taught to us. You know what I mean? And it's funny. I was watching this YouTube video. I stumbled across it. You know how it is when you go down that rabbit hole of YouTube. And I was watching this YouTube video, and this is one guy, and this guy was like broke, man. And I'm sorry because I don't remember his name, but I guess the next time we get on here, I definitely have it. But this gentleman, man, kind of striked me. He was like, I told myself, I went from being broke to how I actually, made a six-figure living on investing like that, right? And this guy was he actually was good at football. He actually played for some teams, but kept getting cut. So he kept getting cut from these football teams, kept getting cut from the football teams, and then he went homeless for a while. And then he said for like at least like 3 or 4 months, he was living off just a bag of rice. Like all he had was just a bag of rice, right? And he was like, "Man, I'm telling you, man." He's like, "I just went and invested in myself." And he said, "I started reading these books," and he's like, "Next thing you know, I'm just buying things." He said, "So I put myself on a strict budget," and he said, "I would never buy anything if I don't own a piece of it going forward." So he said, "If I'm going to buy Nikes," he said, "then I need to have at least one stock in Nike. If I'm going to buy like if I'm going to like throw trash away," he's like, "Man, I started investing in everything." He's like, "So I don't even go in stores now unless I at least own one stock in my portfolio of that item or that product that I'm looking to actually purchase." And that kind of struck home with me, man, and made me started like watching more and more of his videos and supporting and stuff like that. Because that was another thing too, like whereas though it's hard, trying to get support from your own kind, man, sometimes, you know what I mean? So it's like, every time I, see a video, and it's not like I don't support, other nationality, other races. That's not what I'm trying to say. But basically what I'm trying to say is, you know what I mean? Like, it's always when you see someone of your kind, I always try to go a little bit out of my way to try to support them a little bit extra harder. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just me as an individual a little bit, but like I said, it's just I'm not biased or in any means or anything like that. But I just try to support your own kind because it's like sometimes the odds are against us sometimes. So I just try to support when you can. So
Yeah,
Every
it's a
every
boom.
every melanite is not a melanite, and every genome is not a genome, brother.
yeah, that's deep. That's deep right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it called? What do they say? Skin folk is not your kin, always your kin folk.
Yeah. Yep.
Another way I heard that.
Yep.
But it's always
I
good
have
to
a cousin with
it's
that.
always good to do that because then it's one a feel good moment, right? Like you feel that you've done something, but then also um we could talk badly about the environment that we're in, but then what are we doing to improve that environment? Like, I used to do coaching and, things like that. In fact, I'm going to drive back to Florida this weekend to go to the baby shower of my former student athlete. And, it's like, it's still supporting her, still supporting what she's doing in the next version, next portion of her life, phase of her life. And always talking to her, talking to my nephews the same age, saying, "Hey, listen, man, you investing?" To the point where it's just like every time I get them on the phone, "Hey, what's up, man? What's your cryptocurrencies doing? Like, that $50 you put in there, did you put more? Like, what are you doing?" Like to the point where they get it in their head, and it's beautiful when you do those things because what you're doing by purchasing from your skin folk is also improving your environment, right? And then if you can keep on doing that in little ways, even like buying stock, that improves your personal environment and then going from there.
Yeah.
That's very important. That's very important.
Yeah, that's actually a really good segue. You said you're going back down to Florida this weekend. That's what. So what was one of the driving factors for you to actually relocate to where you are now? Like I know pretty much everyone on here, like we all have moved pretty much to different areas. But what was one of the main main driving points for you?
Man, that shit's expensive down there, man. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're like your wife and your kids is listening to Let me chill. Maybe we should get you demonetized before you even try to.
Yeah, I know, right?
But that mess is expensive. I was just talking again to my brother, and I was just, he was talking about driving down there. So there's a lot of things in terms of the environment, how the environment itself in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area is traumatic, and you don't even notice it, how traumatizing it is just to drive and traffic and things like that. The insurance is up. It's up there in terms of how much you have to pay per month, like paying $160 a month in insurance, and then coming to Georgia, getting my license plates, getting my Georgia license plate, and my insurance gets cut in half immediately.
Yeah.
Like it was, I think it was maybe December, and then it was like, oh, you don't have to pay until February. I was like,
like, did you just say that correctly? Did I hear you right?
Excuse me? Like, right? So it's like when you see that housing prices is a lot cheaper. I'm really open about my numbers, so forgive me. You guys don't have to share like I share. I overshare, but housing prices are crazy. So even the house that I lived in for 35 years, lived with my mom, and bought this house October 2020. The house that she used to live in, she lives with me now. The house that she used to live in was 2,450 square feet, sitting on about a quarter acre. And that house was it was listed on Zillow, and probably could have got this before she, had to get out of there. At 484 grand. The house that I moved into, 2,300 square feet, sitting on 18.3 acres. I got a lake that's 3 acres. I got a pond that's 1 acre in the back. And I got 7 acres of forest that I haven't been in, and I've lived in this house for a year. And all this was 219 grand. And I got 2 internet connections, all that other stuff. Like, I could unplug one internet right now and then go from there. Yeah, and definitely.
You got redundancy internet. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I said, no, I was joking. I said, you got redundancy internet right there. That's what I'm talking about.
Man. Bandwidth on top of bandwidth, baby.
Exactly, right. He using one ISP for just uploads. Just uploads. Downloads.
Yeah, listen, dual routers. My only single point of failure is my Cisco Nexus switch.
Okay.
So, but yeah, as Irene said, all praises to the Most High. It's important to look at these things, right? And you see, people talk about retirement and how much it costs. Well, if you live in a larger city, your retirement is going to cost 50 to 60 grand a year being retired. That means your house is paid off, and all you're paying is taxes, insurance, and then your amenity or your utilities and things like that, and then paying for all the amenities. You start to see that you're paying for, excuse the vulgarity, you're paying for the go-go clubs being open 24/7. You're paying for Walmart being open 24/7. You're paying for the stadiums because that comes out of taxpayer dollars. So that's why you're paying all these higher exorbitant costs. And then you're probably an introvert, kind of sort of like me. I'm extroverted. And you're paying all of these things just to enjoy, they say in Florida you get paid in sunlight. And it's just like, bro, if you don't go outside, who cares?
Yeah. So, no, exactly.
So it's just an added cost that you're paying, and there's a lot of things you're paying for that you may not be using, that you can't enjoy because you're running the rat race. You're paying high payments, living check to check on high payments on a car, living check to check, getting yourself in credit card debt, doing one thing after the other. I always had 2 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean that's a part of it, So
yeah. No. So you definitely when like before you even invited me onto your show, and like we kind of were just chopping it up, and you told me everything that you just said. Now, like it was like, man, I was like, this brother's amazing. Like but yeah, but
Amazing
not
spider.
definitely.
I'm just playing. I see you with the. I see
But,
you with the.
yeah. Yeah, let's go get brother Aaron in here, because I know he's also another one that moved from like like a major city to also the suburbs of Georgia as well.
Yes, indeedy. So as you can see in the group chat, I chose the word expansion, and you know, what I found living in the Baltimore area is it's just as much history there as it is in Washington D.C., where the White House is located. And outside of that, I outgrew the city, respectfully. Baltimore is a beautiful place. It has beautiful people. Both of my children's mothers are from there. Both of my children were conceived there. So Baltimore is a part of me, going forward. And I'm very appreciative of Baltimore, but at the same time, it's a lot going on with our city, and and I mean, for it to be, heavily violence is like, it's one of the murder capitals. Um, it could be overwhelming, and a brother like myself, who I like to consider myself well traveled, it was a wake up call living in Baltimore. I mean, essentially, you have to adapt to that lifestyle just to make it through on a daily basis. You know what I mean? And in their defense, they have to be aggressive. I put also in the group chat that, Southern hospitality allows us to age gracefully. And that's not the case up north in the Baltimore, DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. To my brother, Young Grizzly's point, it's like a rat race, and you get caught up and easily distracted with X, Y, and Z, and it presents a challenge. And I understand why people have the mentalities and the mindsets that they do, because essentially they have not been exposed to traveling and expansion and things of that nature, that I like to consider all four of us to have been exposed to. I don't think anyone is smarter than the next man or woman. I just think that they have been exposed to much more. And essentially, me outgrowing that city, I had to think about the bigger picture. Where do I see myself in 5 years? Where do I see myself in 10 years? And unfortunately, I can't say that it would have been in a good place had I stayed in that area. And that's the God's honest truth. So,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and mute my mic and allow everyone else to chime in.
Oh no, thank you for
Right, yeah,
definitely
yeah,
sharing that, man.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 'cause that's like just like you said, like like just from like even just from a mental well-being standpoint, sometimes we have to take ourselves out of the place, physically out of the place that we are, and place ourselves in a totally new environment to actually have peace of mind. And yeah, I commend you on that. That's what. And yeah, so I see brother Dominic was also going to jump in there too, and then you can go ahead and take the next one too, because he's the most
All
recent
right.
one to move as well. So
Yeah,
he has
yeah,
a story.
man. Yes, I got a
Story there.
story. I got a story to tell, like Biggie said, right? No, I'm just joking. But no, man, like I said, yeah, I'm like all of us on here, like I said, I'm pretty sure we're all, like I said, Grizzly. I'm not sure if you're from Baltimore. I'm pretty sure you are, but I'm just saying, like, I've also shared the same thing, same feelings, man. Like one of those places where it's always home, it's always something that you're going to represent, that you love, but it's just you knew it wasn't the best for you. You knew it wasn't the best for you, wasn't the best environment for your family, or where you actually wanted to grow at. So for me, I moved from Baltimore in about 2007 to York, Pennsylvania. I was up York, Pennsylvania, man. It was a different type of living up there, man. It was it's predominantly Caucasian neighborhoods, and you know what I mean. It's my first home because, like, to be honest with you, like in my family always had a history of just like and nothing wrong with it. It was like they always had a history of like living really, really close to one another, but in like bad neighborhoods in row homes, like, you know what I mean, and trying to own your own little space was something that me and my wife wanted to do, and establish a family and stuff like that. So when we moved to Pennsylvania, we had our little single family home. It wasn't big by any stretch, you know what I mean, but it was what we called home. We made it home, and we loved it. And dealing with the individuals around there, and it was just a different type of living, you know what I mean. I'm like, man, it's just like, hey man, I went like 80 some miles up the road, up 83, and I'm in a whole different environment. Like, you know what I mean? People speak to you, whether they're, Caucasian, black, or whatever, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, you go down the street, people saying hi, you know what I mean? Or, your neighbors offer to help, with something, or offer you a tool that, you might need, or, or lend you a tool that you might need, or something like that. And, it's not something that, I was accustomed to, you know what I mean? When living in Baltimore, as per se, you know what I mean? There's always things like, everybody was either watching, you always had to watch your back, not always in a negative type of way, but you've just been conditioned because you've been brought up that type of way. Like, you always got to keep your head on the swivel. And I don't regret having those traits even to this day, because it helps me protect my family more, and it just makes you more alert. Like, so I still appreciate the traits that I've grown and learned from Baltimore. But you know what I mean, as far as evolution wise, I wouldn't say that, you know what I mean, like Aaron said, I kind of like we outgrew that area because we knew it could be something better. Like, you know what I mean? We see the same individuals that's been in that lifestyle we've grown up with childhood, and I can go down there right to this day, and those individuals is same age as me. We talking about late 30s, early 40s, and you still on the same street. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, man, you never looked outside and ventured out. So, but anyway, like I said, we me and my wife, we moved to Pennsylvania. Um, and things were going very, very well, and things like that. And then I got a job offer from a company in Maryland, and I wasn't trying to drive from Pennsylvania to Maryland. I did that for 3 straight years, and I wasn't trying to do that again. I was like, man, it looks like, I'm gonna have to just move back to Maryland. So I moved back to Maryland, and I moved to Clarksburg, out there, like in the close to Frederick, between Fredericks and Montgomery County, and went from another extreme. We went from, like, from Pennsylvania was so laid back, you can go into the bars and people slide the bartender slides you the remote control to the TV and allow you to change it, and I went from that to going to, like, to Montgomery County, so it was like a culture shock, because I was all comfortable, dressing just dressing comfortable and stuff like that. And when we got to Montgomery County, it was like a culture shock, because everything just went back to that rat race, you know what I mean, that I got away from. And when I was in Montgomery County, man, like, next thing I know, like, you obviously you're making more money because you're in Maryland and things like that, man. And next thing I know, I'm accumulating credit card debt. I'm, you know what I mean, getting out of character with things, and you know what I mean, and just trying to keep up with the Joneses and stuff like that, man. And I had to I was like, man, I sat down and talked to my wife. We looked at the finances. I was like, look, man, we gotta make a change. Like, you know what I mean? We gotta make a change. So then, right, so I was like, all right, well, let's find this happy medium, right? Like, let's go with an area where, because Montgomery County is beautiful, right? But it's just expensive. Like, it's super expensive. And then, so I was like, all right, let's find a place that's, closer to our jobs. And both of our jobs was actually in Columbia at that time. And I was like, we got one kid now. We're thinking about having another kid. Let's find a place that's like that happy median, like, where we still have a little upbeat, like a little upbeat, far as like, far as, classiness, but at the same time, let's see what, see what it's like in Columbia. So me and my wife moved to Columbia. We enjoyed Columbia. We had an apartment there, stayed there for 2 years. And on the second year, it was around the 2019 20 into going into 2020 year, we already found out that we were having our second child. We're expecting our second child, so we had our second child in May 2020. And I was like, man, I'm in this tight apartment, it's a 2-bedroom like that, you need to know it in this span. So we moved around the corner to a townhouse, which has been, a good experience too. But then, like, we started seeing just, at that time, I started, we made a plan, we got out of debt, and, we made small moves and things like that to simplify our lifestyle, and went back to more of that comfortable type of living where we were when we were in Pennsylvania, where you're like not trying to keep up with the Joneses, not trying to buy all this extravagant gifts and stuff like that. And, buying new cars every time we turn around and stuff like that. And I was talking to my wife. I was like, look, man, like I want to buy a house. I want us to buy a house. You know what I mean? But like it's just, this market here, man. You know what I mean? Like, for a house that's from like 1960 something is going for like $400,000 or $500,000. And it's not really offering you anything. And it looks like it looks like, it still looks like it's from the early 90s because of like maybe upgrades they might have done in Colombia. And no shots to Colombia. I still love Colombia. But it's just like, it definitely has changed a lot, and just last year, my fault. Go ahead, take one.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like that actually. So Young Grizzly actually had a question. He asked me a question early in the conversation, kind of what you just were kind of going into. What was the conversation like with you and your wife about actually saying like you want to buy the home and then the process like saving and saving towards it like like how did that conversation look from your standpoint?
Oh
Of
man, it was well, like I applaud my wife, to be honest with you. Like she really accepts certain the decisions and stuff that I make for the family. Like, you know what I mean? Having a conversation, she's always been super supportive. She's always super supportive. And, like I sit down and I'm like, look, I'm thinking about making this type of decision for the family, but we're gonna have to do this. And then my wife is like, all right, let's do it. We're on board. We'll, I'll show support. We'll just, run it till the wheels fall off. And we feel like, when we got it, we got it. And like I said, it kind of leads me into that next segment of like, me and my wife decided we had this plan, and we said we wanted to move. At that point in time, we wanted to move to the like the Carroll County area, and it was just like houses and stuff just wasn't working into our favor. He was getting outbidded for stuff, and it just wasn't. And I'm like, go, God does everything for a reason. So, I sat and I talked to Tavon quite a bit, and me and him had a lot of conversations, and we was talking. I was like, man, I don't know, T, I'm losing faith, man. He was like, nah, man, don't lose faith. God has the right house for you. So then, like late last year, my mom in South Carolina actually had they actually had a fire in one of their sheds. And then like my mom and dad they actually do like music, like gospel music and stuff like that. So they had like a lot of recording equipment. My pops is like, he's about to hit 80, but he had like a bunch of like tools and things and like vintage woodwork, because he does stuff on like wood. He does like wood crafting and stuff like that, and all that stuff burnt up, man. And like, it kind of, to be honest with you, kind of hurt my heart because I was not able to be close to them. Like, so, um, I made, me and my wife, we sat and made a decision, and we talked about it, and we found, we was like, look, man, we're just going to move to South Carolina. Like, you want to move to South Carolina, be close to our parents, my parents. Cause we kind of shared the responsibility, because when we were in Maryland, we were closer on her side of the family. So they got a chance to watch my kids grow up for a good amount of time, and we're just trying to be fair to both sides of the family. And we wound up finding a house down here. Like, it's funny, man, because God works in mysterious ways. Everything that me and my wife asked for, that we will want in our own home. Luckily, we found a brand new construction house that had everything that we asked for, man. And like I said, I thank God truly for it. And like I said, that's how we ended up in Rock Hill, South Carolina today. And like I said, we're only about 9 miles away from my mom and my dad. So like I said, they're actually over here right now. But it's one of those touching things, man, where like it's just like God makes a way. And every time you think this door is being shut in your eye or shut in your face, it's actually it's not the door that you were supposed to go through. God has another plan for you. And like I said, like it takes that moral support that you get from your friends, family, close loved ones, and stuff like that. Like I said, me and Tavon talk quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure he's an awesome guy, so I'm pretty sure he collaborates and talks to all you guys as well. But yeah, man, it's one of those things, man. Like I said, it like a lot of support from him kept me going too. You know what I mean? So yeah, but that was my transition from
yeah.
the states that I've been in into the area that that I landed in and reside to now. And yeah, like right now I'm enjoying the Southern hospitality. People are nice. People speak to you.
And Bojangles.
Yeah, and Bojangles is down here too. We got Bojangles.
How was that in terms of the stress on the family, your own family, in terms of like moving? Like, how was it stressful?
Oh my God.
Uh,
Yes. No, I'm gonna honestly say, because this was my second biggest move like in life. Because the first transition was from Maryland to Pennsylvania, right? So, that wasn't that hard of a transition because it was me and my wife. Like it was just me and my wife at that time, right? And this transition has been probably the most stressful thing I've ever had experience in my life at this point in time. Like, you know what I mean? To be honest with you, like, that transition, man, far as like looking for places and working with a realtor remotely and, getting all the paperwork and stuff that they need and, just planning, trying to find moving vehicles and moving vans and figuring out if you're going to use a U-Haul or figure out if you're going to drive that whole way yourself with all your equipment behind you and trying to trailer a car, like, to looking at other options, pod options. And then like, I even had a conversation with Tavon because we was like finding like, I didn't know it was different types of like moving companies and how they actually charge by cubic feet and not actually like by, like hours and distance and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was the same as a local mover that it is for like a fleet mover that's like moving you from state to state. And I was not aware of that. So that, I'm doing research into that. And then they were like, oh, stay away from the brokers because they'll take your money and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, man, why can't people just be honest in this world? Like, why can't you just do your job? Like, you know what I mean? If I'm paying you money, I'm paying you what you're asking me for. Don't try to jack the price up or don't try to take my stuff to another state and then leave it there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
and they'll do that.
I don't, yeah, exactly. I've seen stuff on the news and everything, man. And so it made me really, real nervous and hesitant. And I wound up, to be honest with you, I wound up settling for a pod. And I'm not going to say settling. The pod thing was actually okay for me. But because where we went, when we were from the townhouse, you know what I mean? It was a lot of bulk stuff that we were not taking, as far as like washer, dryer, all that type of stuff. We were renting the place, so it wasn't ours. So I was like, oh, this is a blessing. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, I don't know how, I'm trying to, measure out this cubic feet. I'm measuring things in here. My wife, the only another stressful part was like when the wife was like, oh yeah, I want this. I'm like, we don't need this. We could just buy this over. We don't need this. You know what I mean? Just buy this over. But you know what I mean? Like,
and that's like another thing, like that whole conversation back and forth, dealing with somebody else and saying like, leave this behind. Cause I had the same conversation with my mom. She wanted to bring her whole house up here. And I was like, listen, I'm telling you, I'm not living in the same environment that you lived in, like that I lived in your house. Like you're not bringing all that clutter. I don't need all that furniture, so on and so forth. You better put that somewhere and don't bring that to my house. Like I don't have a garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Like don't do it. So she tried, and I was just like, listen, I had to be hard with her, but it's when you're, the give and take, with those things, the compromises that you have to make in terms of stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a lot, and it's different types of stress too when dealing with a move across state lines. How many hours is it from where you work?
It was about 6.5 hours, man. From me. Yeah. So it was a weird type of transition, man. Like I got an appreciation for a lot of type of stuff. Like, as far as like, sometimes, man, like during your transition, you get humbled a lot. Like, and I'm not saying, I can't say I can't answer for the next man, but I'm talking about for me. Like we even talking about far as like after we got everything in the pod, and like when you have 2 children, you don't want them to experience certain type of things as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like we sitting here, man, we sleeping on the blow up mattress, all 4 of us in there. We got one television because I didn't want to put that in the pod because the kids needed some type of entertainment. You know what I mean? It was just like the whole rest of the house is all empty. Me and wifey up there got paper plates and stuff like that. We got like one pot, one pan, like, you know what I mean? Like, water's running.
Listen, man, this is still my fine china, my silverware. After a year. Like I've actually upgraded. I used to have the smaller white cups.
Okay. You got the solos now, man.
I could do that semi as like a bachelor, like like there's a single person and it's my house and everything. My mom buys like 1 or 2 cups for herself, but you just don't want that. But like I see what you mean coming from your old way of living and then having to deal with that in between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or just having a respect for, like, you know what I mean, people that are literally unfortunate, like, enough to not, like, or you go in certain people's houses and that's just how they, that's how they've been living because they may be, not. I'm not saying not blessed enough or anything like that. I'm just saying like, unfortunate events have them like they don't have as much furniture or unfortunate events or something, whatever their lifestyle is, or maybe their mindset, you know what I mean, makes me that may not be important to them. But you start thinking, you're like, man, even still, man, I thank God because it's cold right now. You know what I mean? Even though I don't have as much furniture in the house or anything right now because it's all on the pod, But
Mhm.
you just it's a humbling thing. You're like, man, some people out there live like this all the time. This is an everyday
Yeah,
living thing for them. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's stuff we take for granted. So
yeah, yeah, and that's what, like you mentioned transition a few times there. So like that's one of the things that, like like with moving, like there's always some sort of transition, whether if it's a physical move that you're doing or it's a move mentally that you're kind of going through. And I kind of wanted to bring it back around, circle it back around to my boy Aaron because I just want to get him in the conversation here. Sometimes you don't know who you're in the presence of, and like the people who you actually are coming in contact with throughout the years. Like like it's it's amazing some of the stories that you hear from just people that in passing, like what they did, like what they moved through to get them to the place that they currently are, or the person that they are, that you meet them, when you meet them at that moment. Aaron shared a story with me that I was like, when he told me this, I was like, wow. And I've known this dude. My kids are 11 now, so let's say back in 2012 we met Aaron, probably 2012, 2013 or so, somewhere around there. And
Sure.
and this brother, like he's always been one of the most outgoing guys that I've ever met, and like just super friendly, and like like I said, he's like a young Palomalo walking around the office back in the day. So but he shared the story with me that he's moved out of Maryland, but also he's also moved through other issues as well, or some other circumstances that happened to him early on in his life. This brother, like he just shared with me 3 days ago, that I don't know if you recall, young Grizzly, since you were probably in Florida at the time. Up here, we had a sniper that was going around the DMV area in the early 2000s, and he shot, I believe, was it 12 people, like
Yeah,
12, 13
wasn't he
people.
like shooting people out of his trunk or something like that?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And
like how
so
good of a sniper he was. It was kind of crazy.
yeah, so it was actually two of them. Um, so
The
it looked
brother
like we
dropped.
might have just lost him.
Yeah.
That's what let me see if we get him to come back on here for a second and see where see if we get him back in here. That's it. But yeah, but Aaron, he actually was one of the the people who actually survived that shooting spree at the time.
Wow.
So he actually was the youngest the youngest victim
wow, yeah.
Get the
who
fuck.
survived. Yeah,
I remember that. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So
and then stuff like that. And I don't want to speak to the brother's experience, but you have life changing events, and that's huge. That's major. That's different.
yeah,
But it's like the crazy things that happen to you. And he was posting this in the back chat earlier about the stuff that tests you, and we don't even know what we can quote unquote handle unless we get tested.
Right.
And
yeah,
not for COVID. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Exactly.
yeah, we don't know what we can handle and what we have to what we can and cannot go through. And you know the crazy thing about it is you only appreciate the test after you've gone through it, whether you
Right.
failed or was successful. You don't
Exactly.
Yeah,
appreciate the test until afterward. Like one thing in terms of like something that happened to me, or something things that have happened to me in the past, in terms of just a lot of introspection and dealing with myself. So when I made the move, Dominic, like I could feel what you were talking about, where you had to put all the stuff in the pod. For me, it was like trips back and forth in my Explorer, right? And there's
Wow.
stuff
Okay.
and things in the back of that. But it one of the things that happened is I started to give away a lot of stuff. Like
yeah,
I started to, like, I gave away a 70-inch TV, I gave away shoes, I gave away clothes, like a whole bunch of stuff. I just gave it away. And it was
Dang.
easy because it was like I know I didn't need it because I had more than enough with just even what was on me. And I'll let Iran
yeah,
go.
yeah. Yeah. So let's see if we get his audio back.
And
Yeah,
actually,
brother Aaron.
Yeah, can you
and
guys hear me?
I'll drop off
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah. We can
I
hear.
have to go to the hardware store before it closes
Okay.
and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
guys so much, man, and I'll watch the rest of it on playback. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
YG.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, YG, nice meeting you, man.
I'll share your social media and everything on here too.
Yeah. I definitely shared this stream and everything like that. And like,
Awesome.
good for your first stream, man. That's a heavy topic, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is. It's definitely
Thank you,
deep, man.
YG.
All right,
But
Iran, I'll definitely want to hear what you say after this. So I'll talk to y'all later.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
all right,
Peace,
bro.
brother.
Yeah, so I just kind of shared with the with the group here, like like how you were by far one of the people who was most affected by what took place during the whole DMV sniper incidents when it was happening,
Yes,
and
sir.
that was national news that you were involved in, like national actually worldwide coverage, actually, because
Yes, sir.
it didn't just stop at the shores and within America. Like this story, it was so big that it was actually transcended the United States and actually went worldwide. And for for us to know each other as long as we have, and and uh and you being the type of person that you are, like that at any point in time, like like after you told me that, I sat back and thought about all the people who you would have came in contact with, and or we came in contact with during our time at the last job, and nobody there knew your story,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
and how much of an inspiration that actually is uh being able to be in the presence of somebody who actually survived a national incident that took place. And not only that, you were the youngest person that it happened to,
Yes, sir.
and you survived,
Yeah. So, obviously we all have a testimony to share, and that is, one of my testimonies. And, I give thanks every day, and, you appreciate life and look at life, in it from a different lens after going through something like that, almost losing your life. You know what I mean? Your motivation shifts. You know what I mean? You just, naturally I breathe different now. I had to learn how to walk again, talk again. Um, I was in a coma, and mind you, I was only 13 years old. So um, it was definitely a whirlwind to say the least, but nonetheless, I have so much to be thankful for. And, that would be less of myself, and I would be doing myself a disservice to be uh, talking about what shoulda, coulda, woulda been. And I'm still alive. Not a lot of people can say that. You got a lot of victims who were involved in that shooting spree who, they lost a family member. They lost someone who they can never get back again. And my heart goes out to those families and the other survivors, and the victims and the victims' families and things of that nature. But I like to think that I'm still here for a reason, and I intend to tap into you know whatever is inside me, awakening that giant within, and continuing to be a beacon of hope, for not only myself but for others. And here we are. So essentially, a quick update. Next month, Lee Boy Malvo, which was the young man who actually shot me, he is due to be in court to attempt to reduce his sentencing, and because he was charged as an adult and he was only 17 years old. So naturally, um, I understand his position, because you have nothing else better to do than to fight for your life, to fight for your well-being, to fight for your freedom. So he is an interesting individual whom I would definitely like to meet, um, for a lot of different reasons. But you know, I am excited to be obviously sharing my story with you, gentlemen, and I look forward to obviously sharing my story on multiple platforms going forward. But this is the grassroots level right here. These are the times that I don't take for granted, and I'm definitely excited and thankful that Tavon has provided me this opportunity to share my story.
Yeah, brother. Like it's it definitely, like when I told my wife also, like about it gets like it's weird because, like, you never met my wife, but she knows all, like, she's heard all the stories about you over the years, and like, like you like we never had never had a chance to really get the kids and stuff together to see you. But like just knowing like all this time has passed and you being as humble and just even you were inspiring even before you even told me this story. That's what, but after you told me this, after you told me that story, like I told you, like like you actually motivated me over the past few days just to go out and actually live, not well, not live, but actually just to do more because it's like, just like you said, like like you could have been cut down at that point in time, and you could have you could have done taken whatever uh whatever help or anything like that from like like state or whoever anything or anything like that, and to just because you could during that time, but you're such like the type of personality that you have and the work ethic that I've seen you display and drive that you have, like like you've always been one of those people who said like like you wanted to get it by your own means, and that, like I think that we've had conversations like that over the years where like like you always wanted to get your just due by your own means. I didn't even know how important that was to you until was it Sunday or was it Monday or Sunday or Monday when we talked. But just knowing that and you're still pushing and you're still moving, like like your story has not been it has not concluded. And like I'm just thankful that you like you shared that with me, and like you wanted to actually get your story out there. And I did actually go back and look at some video clips of your brother. I was like, oh, I was like, boy, you had the baby face on uh back in the day when like like inside some of those news articles that I saw. I was like, "They got no facial hair, anything there." But yeah, man, it's you are definitely inspiring to me. And I'm gonna go ahead and let Dominic jump in there too.
Yeah, my brother, brother Aaron. Thank you for even sharing that, man. Like I said, that's definitely, apologize for, that, you ever had to go through that type of situation. Like you said, I feel like you said, we both agree that, like you said, your story is not over. Like, what I mean? You definitely means you have additional purposes that you have to be on, on this earth longer, that, that you'll get a chance to make a difference in this world in some way, shape or form, or give somebody hope or motivation. I'm definitely is motivating me, man. Definitely for sure. Like, just hearing that story, and I recall because I was like in high school at that time, and I had, man, and I was like, I just got my car, like, you know what I mean, and I was like super nervous, like, you know what I mean, like, so like, but I definitely recall those times, man, and like you said, to hear that story and actually have a conversation with somebody that was actually involved with that, man, is definitely humbling, man, and I'm glad that God blessed you on this earth to to live to tell that story. Because like you said, man, like you said, it's that's it's just it was this unfortunate events that was happening, man. Like I mean, if you don't mind, can I ask you like just a question or two, just like about that situation? Or?
Absolutely, bro. My
Like
brother.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, it was more humbling too when you just got finished saying that you want to actually possibly meet this guy if he gets his sentence reduced and he's able to get out. Like you didn't resort to like any type of resentment or anything like that because usually we're all human, right? But either way, sometimes you get put in certain circumstances or situations and stuff like that. How did you muster the courage to like kind of bounce back and you like, what, I'm not just gonna live in fear. I'm not just going to think about the negativity or the possibilities that something like this could happen again or in a different type of situation, or what I mean, or different type of scenarios. Like how did you muster up the courage and the strength and motivation to be like, what, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to make it through. You know what I mean? I know it's a whole process.
Yes, indeedy. So I definitely walk in faith and not fear, my brother. So and I forgave these two gentlemen, eons ago when it initially happened, because like I shared with Tavon, I don't believe that we should be the judge, jury, and the executioner. So I had to accept an apology I never received for my own well-being. You know what I mean? So again, just still being alive. I mean, I'm I can't complain about anything. You know what I mean? I'm still here. So, as far as me wanting to meet um, Malvo, obviously, just to recap, John Allen Muhammad, he was executed. And me and Tavon spoke briefly about that. We thought that that was premature, but that's a whole nother story on a whole nother
Yeah.
platform. But so he's obviously someone who I cannot meet going forward, even though I had the opportunity to meet him before. Well, not meet him, but we crossed paths through the whole trial and things of that nature. So yeah, brother. I put into the group chat, no weapon formed against us shall prosper, and I'm a living testimony of that. So I give all the glory to the Most High for me to even be having this, interview with you guys and to be sharing my story with you guys because, obviously, I could have been taken out, so, Tavon mentioned to me that, and which I'm well aware of, but, Malvo has a story of his own as well. There have been several documentaries and several movies and things of that nature that have come out. But in his defense, just like mine, our story has been told a million times over, but never truly from the people involved. So
Yeah.
whether I like it or not, I am a part of history. We are a part of history, and our paths crossed for a reason. So that's something that I want to tap into. Being an American, our history is filled with violence. Our history is filled with guns. Our history is filled with um, pain and things of that nature. So these are things that a lot of people can all relate to, and that's something that I would like to tap into. Um, Obviously, first with you brothers, but going forward and allowing this opportunity to springboard me onto other things that I am pursuing. Being a father and so on and so forth, and now I can speak on gun activism and exercising our Second Amendment rights because guns don't kill people; people kill people. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and mute my mic
Yeah.
and
No, that's
go ahead from there.
that definitely all great points right there, brother. Like the
Exactly. Yeah, sure.
just just like Dominic mentioned, like uh like just being able to get the strength up to be able to even want to meet that person, that speaks to your character and
Exactly.
speaks to your upbringing as far as um uh whether if you forgave him or not, like but that just takes a level of strength that a lot of people don't
Don't
have, and
possess. Yeah.
yeah, they don't have it. I'm not even sure if I would have that level of strength to be able to do that. um but that speaks to the character that you possess, and also just, and like that drive that you already have within you to continue to move forward. Like that's definitely uh one of the one of the things that I wish was shared more with within people inside the community. So
Exactly.
your story is going to it's continue to be written, and from any standpoint that if like if you ever need any type of support, like like we definitely have your back in any aspect. Like you need loose leaf pamphlets handed out for something, like like we got your back.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I definitely
uh,
appreciate that, and you guys extending the olive branch to me. And brother Dominic, me and Tavon, um, obviously has built a bond. It's a life sentence now. So I'm
yeah, that's what we
definitely
say.
I'm definitely proud to have another brother within our family because me and Tavon, we talk about the movie 300 a lot, and
Okay.
it takes obviously, from that movie, 300 solid individuals to move mountains together.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We stronger together than apart, so I am looking forward to, what's next in our near future. And I'm extending that same olive branch towards you guys. Anything that I can do on my end, you know what I mean? I'm definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me, You know what I mean? So
Oh,
it's a beautiful thing. This right here is therapeutic to me, on
yeah.
a lot of different
Same.
reasons. You know, us being, you know, brothers, and us being men, and us being, you know, of age. You know what I mean? We have a lot to be thankful for, and you know, a lot of our elders now, you know, our leaders. They're elders. You know,
Right.
and it's our turn to be those leaders. You know,
Yep.
our elders are further removed from being on the front lines and coming from humble beginnings, and you know they can be a little bit out of step. So I think everything is happening at the right time, that we're all in our primes, and you know, and that we're willing and able, most importantly.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's what well said, brother. Well said.
Agreed. Agreed.
And Dom, Aaron and I, I'm not even sure how we got to doing this handshake, but I think we, like, like all of us watch the same kind of genres of movies. I can say that because like we all talk about the same thing. I've just talked about it with you guys at different time. Aaron and I,
Mhm.
we had this handshake kind of like on, I don't know if you remember the show Spartacus, where like they had the handshake where it's just like just above
Yeah,
the
just
hand, where
about
you
the
above the
yeah, like
and it's like at the forearm. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
The
so
forearm grab thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking
yeah.
about.
So that's why. So brother Aaron, I definitely salute that to you right now. I'm gonna go ahead and we're over by a little bit, but want to thank both of you guys for coming on tonight, and I'll let you guys
Sure.
go
Thanks
ahead
for
and
having
say
us.
some last words, and then we take it from there.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
brother,
so
Yeah.
brother Dominic.
Mhm.
You know, like I said, I want Tavon to share, you know, my social media tags with you guys, and you know, um, so on Instagram, my name is Ja Lion 89, and on Facebook, my name is Nari Brown. It's my name, Iron, spelled backwards. So I had to be creative because obviously I'm not the only Iron
yeah,
out here.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you know what I mean.
Right.
So
that's really
so
smart though, because I saw
Yeah,
that. I was
that
like,
is. Yeah,
where
that
did we
was
get that
that's
from?
that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Same thing happened with my email account. You know, I tried to use my government name, but you know, us brothers, we gotta, you know, dig into that cerebellum and you know, try to be
Yeah,
creative. You know what I mean?
gotta be creative. Yeah.
You know, we are innovators and leaders. So that's the least of our worries. So yeah, on Facebook, my name
Yeah,
is Nari Brown, Nari, last name Brown like the color, and
Mhm.
Instagram is Ja Lion 89, JAH Lion 89, and the significance behind Ja, outside of me being a Rasta, you know what I mean? My That's my firstborn's name. His name is
Okay.
Ja, JAH.
All right. Okay.
nice.
All right.
Yeah. How
Okay.
about
I
you, brother
bet.
Dominic?
Well, I actually sound like the oldest person in here. I mean, like, far as what's the name, but I actually don't have any social media accounts. I had already shut them down, man. I had to shut them down like probably a year or two ago. But I can definitely. I'll pass my information to Tavon, and he can go and send that
Yeah.
over to you. But like I said, I'm more than happy to extend the olive branch and have another brother in the brotherhood with me. You know what I mean? Like we in the trenches all together. So, yeah, I definitely, I want to thank you too for sharing your story. Like you said, that's not, that's definitely touched close to home here. As far as in my heart, man, and like I said, I just, I thank God that you're still here and that you're able to tell a story. And I wish nothing but the best for you, brother. And like I said, I'm Tavon. I thank you for this meeting, this thing like that. And like, man, I'm excited to keep this going. So,
Yeah.
and
Likewise.
collaborating with our brothers on here and making our channel, making the channel grow, man. So, like I said,
I
that's
was just gonna say the same thing. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
same sentiments, my brother. You know, I didn't
mhm,
I didn't want you guys to, you know, try to cram in questions and things of that nature. This is something that
mhm,
I would like to continue going
Oh
forward.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, and also don't feel bad about you not having any social media accounts, because just recently I reactivated and put myself back on the forefront, only because you know I was thinking two steps ahead and I foresaw this media attention coming my way, and you
mhm.
know, Malvo, you know, fighting for his freedom. And, you know, this October is going to be the 20th anniversary of the shooting. So it's been
Wow.
20 years, my brother.
Jeez,
So,
man.
you
That's
know, I too like to take myself off the grid and not be as readily available and accessible, you know, but
mhm,
this is 2022, so I'm starting to, you know, get into the habit of trying to take advantage of, you know, promoting self and you know, using these platforms that's free. That's free 99 to
Right.
be. I mean, essentially, when we introduce ourselves to people, we're a walking billboard. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this is me extending that invitation to people around the world. You know what I mean? So on the social media, on the digital level, so
Right.
so that's my drive as far as putting myself out there and making myself public.
I
Mhm.
definitely thank you for that, brother. Like I'm giving you your flowers here while you're still here, while we all are here. So that's definitely uh, something. Just like Dom said, like this is just the first conversation of many. So this would not be the last. Just the first one that we're having, but it's going to continue to grow from here. And and like like all of us will help grow with not just with the channel, but just in our daily adventures as we continue moving. So thanks again, brothers. I don't want to take up too much more of your
You
time. I know
good, man.
everybody. As I'm pretty sure it's a basketball game or something on the night that you two fellas got to get to. So
Man, they can wait, man. Like I said, these we're making history right here, man.
Yes, sir.
Making memories and stuff. These games they'll be on tomorrow.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. You know what I mean? Because as far as football is concerned, between me and you, I'm still kneeling with Kaepernick, fellas. You know what I mean?
Right.
there you
So
go.
it's
There you go.
interesting because that was one of my first loves. But once I found out that that game that we grew up loving, it don't necessarily love us back.
Love us back.
You know what I mean? So that was a huge wake up call for me. So and surprisingly so, I don't miss it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
in their defense, they're doing just fine without my support.
Right.
Couldn't say it better. Thanks again, fellas, for logging in tonight. That's what,
All right.
and we'll get something else from the books later.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, fellas, have a
All
good
right.
one.
See you guys.
All right, peace.
Later.